Hello, everyone. Today we switched up. Uh, just let me turn volume down on my end a little bit. You'd think I'd have done that before I started. We switched up what we were writing, how we were writing today, and it was quite fun. It made the words come a lot easier. We're still not feeling great. We haven't slept in a while. So that's poor. So I don't know what the output will look like, but it was a little bit easier to get through than yesterday. Let's go. Gazing deeply into the cast brass behemoth, Rob started to realize. That's the end of that. That's the end of that sentence. There you go. The thing was not mere decoration. It was a machine. Without a doubt the most complex Rob had ever seen. Innumerable moving parts, some the size of dinner plates, some small enough to be almost invisible, twitched and turned in an impossibly intricate dance. The many segments were uncountable, seeming infinite, and no two were exactly alike. How long must it have taken to build this? Machining out every part individually and then constructing the thing. What was what what was he was looking at even possible? Even thought was what he was that's not good. Was what he was looking at even possible? Even plausible? It pulsed like a beating heart. Rob didn't even notice he was drawing closer. And as he looked on, his questions began to resolve themselves. The thing was a type of machine lost to history, Spanish in origin, but the specimen he was looking at had been built in England, as had many. And one time London had thrummed with the things, stretching all down one bank of the river, working and being worked day and night. Industry thrived in the vicinity of the machines, and they dyed the sky above them a foreboding red with the crimson smoke that heralded their function. Rob reached towards the thing, which he was pretty sure would be close enough if not for the surrounding railing. The air around it was hot. He wondered again as to its function, and very quickly he knew the answer. Initially, they'd been tasked with simple manufacturing jobs, producing textiles or workable materials in quantities far greater than the output of a normal factory, and with barely a fraction of the staff. These tasks had been beneath them, though. The machines could think for themselves, and no human endeavour was truly beyond them. There had been so few people who fully understood the inner workings of the machines you could count them on one hand, but the rights that caused them to function were slightly more common knowledge. The machines required sacrifice, naturally. Life is trade. If you want something, be ready to give something up in turn. They'd started with animals, obviously, but the abundance of vagrancy and villainy within the London of the distant past had presented another opportunity. They always seemed to run better on human blood. The victim would be fed into the machine from the top and churned up inside, so that not a drop of blood fell loose from its shell. They would scream. It didn't work as well from the side. More mess. Rob was struck at that moment, realizing that what he was looking at was just a small part of something extremely large. The giant tower of metal in front of him was connected, not by anything as mortal as skin and bone, but connected nonetheless to something indeterminately massive. An incomprehensible force that was everywhere and nowhere, surrounding him utterly. The icon was not even a fraction. He was looking in awe at one of the thing's fingers, or teeth. As he gazed back like a man watching bacteria under a microscope, did it even notice him? Would it consider him sentient if it did? Zack and April didn't notice him until he'd fully crested the railing, a subtle change in the rhythm of the infernal sound having tipped them off to the changing situation. They caught him barely a moment before he made contact with the metal shell, and between the two of them they were able to hold him back for long enough to return to his senses, even if they weren't able to get him back over the railing and away from harm. Rob froze in the presence of the thing, now fully aware that it was face to face with something he couldn't possibly comprehend, which wanted nothing for him but a painful and messy end. That sentence I hated at the time, and I still hate now. His other existential problem hit him only once he'd lost balance on the tiny ledge he occupied, and he started to fall. That's today's word. Psych! That's not all of today's words, you fool. You've been rused. I started a new chapter halfway through. Let's see if I can actually get this to come up. Okay, so now that's black. So now we should be able to. Okay, hang on. Okay, this is a blank Word document. Nice. Oh, I got that. Oh, nice. A lot of stuff. All the best stuff. Oh, is that still invisible? Oh no, it went away. Oh, wow. So you could see the blank document, but not the one with words in it. That's fine. That's fine. I can see the words. This is chapter 4. They were always watching us. The theme for the chapter titles has just been anything that's 5 words, just a sentence that's 5 words long. You know, just get some words out of the way. Make me feel good. I figured any more than 5 was probably cheating, but I could get away with that because if you include chapter 4 and then they were always watching us, 7 words, a little bit cheeky. April lost her grip immediately as Rob started to plummet. She'd been in the middle of adjusting her grip on one of his shoulders, and when it suddenly hurt. She'd been in the middle of adjusting her grip on one of his shoulders when it suddenly hurtled away. Zack held on for longer, but he had the upper body strength of a child and only lasted seconds. It was just long enough for Rob to scramble for purchase on the edge of the platform, managing a fingertip grip. Caught between the thrumming of the machine, now more intense than ever, and the horrified stares of his newfound acquaintances, he called out a wounded yelp as his grip faltered. There's a lot of repeat words there. I like this. I think I'm liking this. It's pacey. It's fun. It's fun to write. But I'll need to go back through it. I mean, that's the same with anything, but you know, yeah. These problems in these ones that we've got now, they're not that bad. Do you want a blank Word document for it to look at? Will that work? No, I won't show you that either. It's strange. I don't know why it does these things. Anyway. Can you pull yourself up? Zack posited helpfully. Ah! Rob protested. Rob knew that the building had been constructed in the shape of the monster god's mark. It was rotationally symmetrical, each floor twisting slightly along its length. A trick that to most people would seem like a questionable but not implausible aesthetic choice, but was in truth to signify from the outside that this was a darkly sacred place. The floor underneath the one Rob was desperately clinging to curved in his direction. There'd be an inch of ground for him to land on as long as he stayed very, very still. The entire epiphany hit him in an instant, like a ball of lightning. The next thing that occurred to him was the feeling of weightlessness as he started to fall, willing himself not to move with every ounce of his will. That's a terrible willing himself with his will. That's gonna go straight to the redundancy department of the redundancy. I can't fucking talk. It's probably because of the sleeping issue. I've been trying to sleep. I've been staying up quite late at night and trying to sleep through the day, but I can't sleep through the day because my housemates will just wake me up over and over again and pretend that they don't realize that I'm trying to sleep. This, mm, yeah. Willed himself with his will. Come on. He tried to remain rigid, but not so much that his legs would shatter upon impact if by some miracle this worked. Then he was landing, hard, directly alongside to the railing on the floor underneath. I think it's just the word "to" there bothering that one. But we're going to leave it because it'd be deleting a word and we need those words. Directly alongside to the railing on the floor underneath. His legs gave out and he crumpled forwards onto his hands and knees. It hurt a lot, but he was reasonably certain he hadn't died. Oh shit, did that just happen? Rob! Rob! A voice called from above. Rob couldn't sufficiently catch his breath to reply. I could not think of a thing for Zach to say there. I just couldn't. I totally blanked. I don't like what I've got, but I couldn't do nothing else. I can't remember why. He just said something like cheeky, and it's like a man just died. Zach is a coward. He would not be this. Uh, anyway, there's a scene change there. Spellbound by some unseen force, Rob had thrown himself from the balcony, opting to take the quick way back down to the foyer. He seemed to have realised at the last second, but not soon enough to save himself. Shame, too. He'd seemed nice. He's obviously dead, Zack, April informed the man. We've got other problems. She supposed there were. April, by the way, um, she's seen stuff. I think we've established this. Descent, first time. She's, you know, had to come to terms with the fact that someone was quite obviously dead. Yeah, still getting no picture. Just thought I'd check. Anyway. She supposed there was a chance he'd survived the fall. Unusual things happened all the time. People had lived through far worse odds. They'd been able to haul an extra crippled acquaintance out of the building with them, though, and this seemed like a poor setting to be so vulnerable in. He might be luckier to have gone quickly. For the minute, though, they had to worry about the cylinder. That thing's a cult, right? She asked Zach for confirmation. Out the arsehole, he replied. The pair were trying hard not to look at it or think of it, but now, knowing what it was, and broadly what it might be capable of, they could feel its presence on the backs of their minds. Should we get out of here? Did we get anything? He shrugged. I got a laptop. The machine was moving peculiarly now, an extra, stronger level of metallic clanks adding to the cacophony as it began to shake and twitch, pulsing far more rapidly and fiercely than it had been. It was hard to avoid looking. They backed away hurriedly, locking arms as they'd practiced in case one of them lost it. All around them, a crowd was starting to form. Back the fuck off, alright? I've got a hammer. April dared a glance at the growing mob forming around them. None made a move towards her. This was not an aggressive act. They were merely watching and waiting. Thick red smoke began to billow from the machine. It was glowing. A chant broke out amongst the group of surrounding strangers. Something in a dead language, but unquestionably nasty sounding. It was quiet and scattered at first, becoming booming and uniform. The chant synced up perfectly around the percussive banging of the monolith. April gripped her hammer tighter. You're in trouble, kid. I couldn't think of anything for it to say. A booming voice emanated from everywhere and nowhere. Yeah, that's a little bit redundant. I just wanted to throw in there. I don't know why I decided to throw Ed in there. It would work if he had something to say. It's showing that, you know, the character who is a delusion, showing up to inform the main character that they're in trouble at a time like this, does seem about right. It just needs probably more to say, something different to say. Neither April nor Zach had any idea what to expect as the machine began methodically, piece by tiny piece, to fold itself open. The howl of an enraged animal erupted from the space and into the room, and the pair realized that what was about to happen had been beyond the scope of what had previously seemed to be within the realm of possibility. That sentence sucks. We'll fix that last one. Holy shit, there's a lot. We were tired at this point. We hadn't slept in a couple of days. And then we'd seen change again. Rob's feet hurt. He almost didn't dare look back to the central pillar, afraid it might once again call to him in a voice he couldn't say no to. When he did eventually risk one eye, he didn't like what he saw. The area was filling with the same foul-smelling crimson smoke he recognized from a waking dream, now seeming distant. The thought that none of this could be real entered him as he watched on. The people were running now, their equilibrium finally disrupted by the chaos of the day. Some ran away, others towards. The sounds of spooky chanting, clashing metal, and frantic movement told Rob something was happening right above his head. He started back towards the steps, picking up pace as the hellish red glow of the machine intensified. The smoke rose and the screaming started. He was running by the time he reached the bottom. Zach was on his way down. Other way, he told Rob concisely. Where's Looper? What are you talking about, you madman? Run! Zach dashed past him and across to the next downward spiral of stairs. Rob headed the other way, ascending. Once in the distant past of that morning, Rob had wondered idly, while slaving away at his awful desk, as part of his awful life, if he'd see someone die in this building. That thought was within him as he climbed the stairs. He'd never considered that this might be a reasonable concern, and hoped dearly that whatever forces might have potentially caused this to come to fruition, it wasn't the wandering of his idle mind. That's where we got to today. So, honestly, the words passed a lot faster than last few days. I think the output were a lot better. I think changing it up and just having a big action scene was a good idea. I have been building up to this. I've been thinking of this. This was always going to be how the setting ended. Uh, yeah, there's bits there that we obviously need to change, but I think this has been a much better day in terms of output. I just need to find a time at some point, day or night, when I'm allowed to sleep. That would probably be helpful. I've been feeling really rotten. I mean, obviously the last few days. I don't. Uh, I don't like to talk about when I'm feeling awful. But it has been the last few days, and that's kind of what this is. God, it's awful. It's awful here. It sucks so much. We're in second lockdown. It is like biblically terrible weather. Uh, there is a plague of locusts outside. No, yeah, it's just I don't remember. I don't know. It's the most miserable entrance to winter I can remember. Yeah, I kind of did all right for the first like 3 weeks. I mean, I wasn't doing that well. I was still kind of down. I could wasn't so down that I couldn't hide it. Uh, but yeah, it's just been too much. Every everything bad. Oh, we'll try and do more stuff we're enjoying. Yeah, do more of the fun writing where you're not just clutching at straws and you kind of know what you want to happen. And involves a big dumb action scene. Let's go. Let's do it. Thanks for being here.